guys, so I figured I'd start out this week's episode with something funny and more hip and happening, as the kids call it. So insert joke here.
So I got a little joke for you. Where do animals go when their tails fall off? The retail store.
I also want to keep encouraging you guys to subscribe and like and comment. Those are all really cool things that helps the channel out, motivates me to continue creating great content. So anyways, like, subscribe, and I appreciate it. With part 3 of the series that I'm calling Life Isn't Fair, about Sarah and I's trials and tribulations at trying to become parents, and then foster parents, then life with that. So just to recap, part 1, we talked about our fertility problems. We talked about the decisions that were going through our head of what we were going to make. Part 2, I talked about the decision we made, which was fostering, and then all the beginnings of getting the 2 beautiful children that we have. And then part 3, I want to talk a little bit specifically for interested and prospective foster parents, what fostering entails, right? I want to talk about sort of just the, in general, visitations and things that you could possibly expect, maybe the application process and things you're looking at when you're filling out the application. So one of the most important things when fostering is you really need to be honest when you're filling out the application for fostering. How many kids you want to have, what levels and varying degrees of disabilities you're okay with the kids having, what varying levels of behavior problems or anxiety problems that you're going to have. Are you willing to have kids that have been sexually abused? Right, so those are all things that you have to weigh. And just, if you permit me a personal note for a second, one of the things that I remember vividly going through this process is the social workers asking us if you're okay with animal abusers and if you're okay with fire starters. And that was really my first indication of realizing, wow, there's really a lot of crap that these kids have gone through if there's kids that are in those situations. You know, and it can even go into as much detail as, are you willing to deal with kids that have major disabilities that require medicine, and what levels of, you know, disability, you know, cognitively, mentally, physically, are you willing to deal with? And you have to be honest with that. You know, once you figure out all that stuff and you finally get the kids, a lot of things that people don't realize is that depending on the age groups, first of all, when you foster, if the biological parents have not been so heinous as far as their crimes, or if they're in jail, obviously they're not going to get a lot of visitations if they're considered to be a risk to the children. But let's say it's a normal fostering situation, and I might be a little vague on the numbers here, but you can look it up if you're interested. So I remember when they were talking about infants. Infants get 3 one-hour visits a week with their parents, at least in Michigan or Monroe County, right? And when we got our foster kids, they were entitled to 1 visit, 1 hour a week with their mother, and 1 visit a week that could be up to 8 hours with their father. I'm not going to go into the specifics of why that was happening, because that's personal to them, but you have to facilitate those visits. And it's not a normal foster situation where, you know, when we dropped the kids off to their father, it was me taking those kids physically to their father, that they would go out and have a fun day and doing what they were doing. In the same thing with their mother. It's a blessed occasion when you have a social worker like we did for a lot of occasions that would come pick the kids up and take them to their visits. I guess I should take a step back and tell you that the state of Michigan has deemed, and this is something that I wish we would have really listened to and really thought about before we started the process. Not that it would have changed the decision we made, but the state says that the best place for kids is with their biological parents. And a lot of people have told us in hindsight that, you know, they could have told us that the end result of us having the kids would be that they would end up going back. So that was something that I wish, and I would like all foster parents to know, is that if at all possible, the state is going to do everything in their power even if it means superseding state law on some occasions to put the kids back with their biological parents. And the biological parents are going to get every opportunity, even if they stumble and fall, to prove that they're capable and competent parents. And in our case, which apparently was unusual according to how long that time period lasted, but there's all kinds of variables that we're not going to get into, they ended up going back. So in the end, guys, what it really boils down to is, as a foster parent, you have one job. And that job is that you are to show unconditional love to those kids. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day, is that you are there for a part of their life, or for a period of time in their life where they just need to know that there's somebody there that loves them, somebody there that loves them unconditionally, and then that's your role. And as hard as it is to just sort of know that that's the role, we wanted to adopt them. We loved them like they were our own, and that wouldn't have changed no matter what the circumstance was. But it was hard to come to the realization that they were going home and we weren't going to get to adopt them. There's so much more we can talk about. We'll save that for another day. But at the end of the day, when you're a foster parent, you have one job, and that's to love kids, and that's to show them what a new normal is. Show them that when the end of the day comes, that they're going to be loved, and that's going to be consistent. So, like I said in all the other videos, if you have questions, don't hesitate to, ask Sarah or I. We can sit down and talk and have coffee. We can sort of figure this out if you want to be a prospective foster parent. And I hope it hasn't come off like I'm discouraging people from being foster parents. My goal is just to get people to realize that there's realities of fostering outside of what you've heard or what you've seen on TV. And hopefully I've done a good job of that. So, Burly Teacher out. And look forward to seeing you guys next week with a new topic. So have a good weekend. Burly Teacher out.